Hello, great people. After spending over a year and a half in office, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had his first presidential media chat. And Nigerians are happy. Nigerians are rejoicing that, yeah, this is what we're asking for. Communicate with the people. You are beginning to give us the good luck Jonathan vibe, the Obasanjo vibe by granting presidential media chat. And it's a way of Nigerians hearing from you directly and you taking questions from journalists. On this episode of Politics with Dr. Omosoladeji, we'll be reviewing all what happened during the presidential media chat. We'll be assessing the flaws and the facts of President Tinubu's media chat. We have a lot to cover, so let's just dive into it, great people. First, NTA is a terrible station. NTA is a disgrace to Nigeria as the capital of the black race. Look at the audio of that media chat. If you have not watched it, it's all over the place on YouTube, on Facebook, everywhere. Just go and watch it and look at the quality of the audio of the presidential media chat. A presidential media chat having that quality of audio. The president is speaking and his voice is not clear, his voice is not audible. What a disgrace. For you to think that it is this NTA that successive governments have been pumping money, you want to ask yourself that where is the money that was pumped in NTA? Because I remember during the Buhari regime, Lai Mohammed, made a proposal at one point in time of I think maybe 500 million, is it naira or dollars or something like that? One outrageous figure that you want to pump it into NTA. Is it the same NTA that the president is speaking and his voice is not audible? The audio is so terrible. What a disgrace. Now, another thing in that presidential media chat that strikes me is that let us look at where we are coming from and where we are. In the sense that if you compare Tinubu to Buhari on intelligence, you will give Tinubu a pass mark. If you are comparing him to Buhari, although Tinubu himself, maybe by virtue of age, I don't want to say presidential stress. I would rather blame it on age, that his delivery is not as sound as it should be. The way he answered the question is not really as sound as expected in the true sense of it. But then you can't compare him to Buhari. Buhari, in terms of, speaking offhand, was a monumental disaster. You remember that chat that he had during the election of his second term, during the campaign with Kadaria Ahmed, that Osinbajo was literally speaking for him. So, comparing Tinubu with Buhari, Buhari is a terrible guy. That doesn't mean Tinubu has displayed super intelligence. He has only displayed, average intelligence in that particular interview. Now, what are some of the things that were addressed in that interview? Before I go into that, I hope that media chat was transmitted live because I was looking for the live logo. I couldn't find it. I hope it wasn't recorded and the presidential aides would have done wuru-wuru, in case the president fumble in any way, they would have cut and paste, cut and edit, then they will now present their own remixed version to Nigerians. I hope that media chat was live because if it's not live, then it's not credible. Because it should be live. If it is not live, it is subject to the remix of the media handlers of the president, and that would have been terrible. Because I couldn't figure out whether the media chat was live or not. Now, the president spoke about local government autonomy. Well, a step in local government autonomy is quite right. It is commendable. But I've made a couple of videos on that as regards my position on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu local government autonomy. So if you are watching me for the first time, catch up with my past videos and of course turn on your notification button. Now, the president spoke about subsidy removal. I've also had a lot of videos where I've analyzed, the impact of the president's action on subsidy removal. So also do well to catch up with my past videos on subsidy removal. I have a lot of videos on this channel for you. Do well to catch up with them because I want to cover the ones that I've not touched much on. Like I said at the beginning, there's a lot to cover. Now, the president said that Nigeria is more secure. You see, you can say in terms of maybe bombing, like some time ago that we used to hear that they bombed UN office and all that. That may not be the case. But in terms of per citizen security, Nigeria is no more secured. From the surface, security from the surface, if you're assessing it in terms of strikes by terror groups, bandits, you can say, okay, maybe Nigeria is trying its best. But if you want to say in terms of security, in terms of human security, no. Nigeria is still the same as it ought to be. If there is an assassination, the probability that the police will not receive a cover from you and find those people and bring them to justice, if you are not a high profile person, is very less. And that's what I usually tell people. Anything you do, make sure you don't die. If you die, the probability that you get justice is almost equal to zero. Look at this boy, Mohbad, that died. Has he gotten justice? He hasn't gotten any justice till now. So in terms of security, the president failed to realize that when you have money in your pocket, when the economy is prosperous, it is a way of adding to security in the land because less people will commit crime. But by virtue of the economic hardship that has increased tremendously in the society, then that means that insecurity has increased because there will be an explosion of the informal economy. I remember that I've analyzed this also before on this channel. So, like I said, do want to catch up with my past videos. Now, let's go to something else. The president tagged this budget of restoration and hope. And at the same time, he also made a statement that almost immediately that we can't finish the job in 1 year. Now, let me break this down. Budget of restoration and hope. That's the 2025 budget. It means that for you to want to restore, it means that thing has declined, or that thing has gone bad, or that thing is no longer effectual, or that thing is no longer of value. Then you will want to restore, right? That is restoration. Restoration always occur or becomes necessary when there is a negativity or a decline, right? So if you tag this budget of restoration and hope, and you say we can't finish the job in 1 year, you want to ask yourself, first, for you to want to restore, do you agree that things have gone wrong under your government or under the government of Buhari? Like I explained about restoration, right? So do you agree that something has gone tremendously wrong? Because something must be wrong for you to want to restore. If everything is right and okay, what are you restoring? If nothing is missing, if nothing is bad, if nothing is flawed, if nothing is ineffectual, what are you restoring? What are you restoring? So, for you to say this is budget of restoration, that means that I say you can't finish it in 1 year. Next year, will you still target restoration again? And the president made a statement. He said he had been sharing food in Bodilon for many years, but there was no stampede. Sir, I disagree with you, and I find that statement a bit unpresidential. In the sense that if you have been sharing food in Bodilon for many years and people are not dying, now you are the president, they are sharing food and people are dying in Oyo State, in Abuja, in Anambra State, it shows that something is fundamentally wrong with your government. That they share food before, people are not dying, and now they share, people are dying. It shows that the need of people, the wants of people, the yearnings of people have increased based on economic hardship. So I think it is unjust for you to compare when you are sharing food and palliative with all the level of security details and the level of organization that would have been put in place when you are sharing it to other private citizens. You were a governor, a former governor, the political striker of APC, the former national leader of APC, the one of the power blocks that installed Buhari as president, and eventually the president. You can't compare yourself to an ordinary citizen. The resources available at their disposal. For a woman in Oyo State to throw her child over the fence, hoping that people will catch that child, but the child eventually hit his fence against the wall and died on the spot, it shows the non-performance of your government. If people can be dying because of rice stampede, you are not comparing that to when you are sharing food in body. You are now saying you've been sharing for many years. Is the price of dollar years ago what it is now? The price of foodstuff, is it what it is? So I find that statement unpresidential in the true sense of it. Now, kudos to Otitoju, Babajide Kola Otitoju of TVC. TVC is allegedly owned by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Otitoju asked a question that I found very important. He said, what will you do on tax as regards the North? And how will you reduce the cost of governance and size of your cabinet? Bola Ahmed Tinubu says tax has come to stay. According to his words, he doesn't even really give a damn about how some of these northern politicians feel, whether they cry, whether they scream. The president has declared that tax has come to stay. Again, I've done series of videos about this tax issue. Please do well to catch up with my past videos on this tax issue. I've done a lot of videos on it. Now, he said he's not going to reduce the cost of his cabinet and the size of his cabinet. So that means if you like, scream from now till tomorrow. If the president thinks that his escalade is not fit enough, he's going to change it. He has declared that he's not ready to shrink his cabinet. But one thing I find a bit I find a bit disturbing is the president says all his ministers are performing. Mr. President, all your ministers are performing. No, that's not correct. Maybe they are deceiving you. And are you aware of the excesses of the likes of Yesom Wike? Are you aware of how Wike is revoking land and allegedly giving it to his political friends, associates, and family? Is that what you call performance? And even if Wike is performing in terms of project, what are you doing to call the excesses of your ministers to order? And it's not all your ministers that are performing. In fact, during the Obasanjo government, you know a lot of the ministers offhand. You know their name because these guys are they are superstars in their own right. You know Okonjo, this woman, Obi, is a Kwesili, right? You know a lot of them, Shegun Aganga, like these people are kind of like, their face are known to the people. But this Tinubu government, they have just some people, and the performance of some of the ministers is so terrible that you can't even identify them. Go to the street and say, name 10 ministers in Tinubu's cabinet. I'm sure people will struggle to name even 5. And the performance is not trickling down. People are not feeling the direct effect of the performance. So where is the performance? Look at the economy. Where is the performance? So the president, I think, should take his time to always take his review right and make sure that he holds his appointees accountable. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode. Subscribe, turn on your notification button. See you in my next video. I love you all.